We talked about establishing a credit profile for your business. Now in this video, I am going to teach you ways to build your business credit in 2023 so you can finally secure the capital you need to expand your purchase inventory and potentially hire staff and really get where you want to go. Before we jump in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any game-changing information. Let's get after it. Credit seems to be extremely confusing for a lot of people. So I want to go over some basics regarding credit so that you will understand what it actually means. So what is credit? Credit is the ability to pay back someone over time. So let's say, for example, that you are able to get a credit card and you charge $1,000 on that credit card in 1 month's time period. When you get your credit card statement, you do not want to pay that $1,000 completely off. I say that because credit is the ability to pay over time. So if you pay it off in the first 30 days, you're not establishing the ability to pay it off over time. So that's the number one thing I want you to understand. When you are building credit and you are able to charge that $1,000 per month, going back to an example, you want to make sure that every single month that you pay down that $1,000 to at least 60% of the balance due on the credit card. What that means is that if you have a credit card at $1,000 limit, you charge up $1,000. When you get that bill, you want to make sure you pay at least 40% or $400 so that the amount of your credit is $1,000. The amount you owe now is $600, and give yourself that $400 room. I say that because you want to make sure that if your credit limit is $1,000, that you're not bucking up against the limit. Because if you are, the creditors start to think that you are out of control from a credit perspective and that you may be going out opening up other credit cards because your limit is always to the top. So make sure you pay it down to at least 60% of what your credit limit is. Minimum payments. This is another area that is extremely confusing. When you charge up credit and you get that statement on a monthly basis, your statement is going to show the minimum amount that is due. You certainly want to cover the minimum amount that is due, but you actually want to add more than just the minimum amount. You can pay more than the minimum. And here's why you want to do that. When you pay more than the minimum, you're telling the creditor that you have the ability to pay more than just the minimum amount that's due. I want you to look at the minimum amount that's due like getting a C in school. That's average. When you're trying to build credit, you want to come above average, right? You want to start to hit the B plus, the A. In order to do that, you have to pay more than the minimum amount that's due. So make sure every single month you pay the minimum plus some so that you are able to cover more than just that amount. In order to protect your credit, make sure you put the minimum payment on Autopay. We as business owners, individuals, we get busy and there's times where stuff happens. Life happens when we're trying to build our credit. So one thing that you want to do is you want to safeguard against those issues that could potentially come up. By putting the minimum payment on Autopay, you're going to make sure that every single month you never miss a payment. Because when you miss a payment, it is very quickly for the creditors to ding you, to put you on a 30-day late. So you want to make sure you don't get into that situation. I told you before that you want to pay more than the minimum. So even though you have the minimum payment on Autopay, you can come in at any time and add to that amount. When you are establishing credit, you want to leave that credit out there for at least 90 days. The reason why I say 90 days is because, again, credit cycles every 30 days. So if you charge up $1,000 and you pay it off in the first 30 days, you're not showing the creditor that you can hold credit. You're not showing the creditor that you're trustworthy. So you want to make sure that you do not pay it all off in the first 30 days. Hold it for at least 90 days. So let's take our example of $1,000. I get my credit card statement. The very first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to pay it down by at least $400 to drop it to that 60% credit to limit ratio. Then the next month when it comes in, I should owe $600. I am going to maybe pay half of that $600 and pay $300. Now I've had my credit for 2 months or 60 days. When I get to the 90 days, I don't have to pay it off. But if you're eager to pay it off, you can pay it off now on your third statement. You want to hold your credit for 90 days because you want the creditor to see that you can hold credit. That's really important when you're trying to build credit. Another thing that is important when you're trying to build credit is the number of credit cards that you have. When you are going out and getting credit cards after credit cards after credit cards, all these creditors look at you and go, oh, they are really racking up credit. So it's very important that you stay no more than about 3 credit cards, because a lot of credit cards is going to drop your credit score down. So make sure that you pay attention to that. And you want to make sure that if you're going to open up credit and you're getting those inquiries, that you're only getting inquiries within the same time period. So if you're applying for credit and you're going to get credit cards, try to get as many or at least that 3 within that 30-day time period. Don't open up a credit card in January, then another credit card in February, then another credit card in March, because that is going to just look like you're trying to go after a ton of credit. You want the inquiries to drop off. And credit cycles every 30 days. So it's really important for you to understand how credit really works. Closing credit cards. When you are trying to build credit, you want to be careful about closing credit cards, because when you close down credit cards, now you're saying to a creditor that you can no longer handle your credit. So you have to be very careful. If you find yourself overextended, meaning you have more credit than you can really handle, pay down the credit card. But when you're in a building mode, you don't want to pay credit cards off. You want to pay credit cards down. The key takeaway from you is you want to make sure you can hold your credit for at least 90 days. You want to make sure that you can pay more than the minimum credit so it establishes that you can control it. You want to make sure you limit the number of inquiries to that 30-day time period. And you also want to make sure that you don't close your credit when you're trying to build credit. Now that you know better, you absolutely have to do better. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe so I can keep you updated on all things business and tech.